What up, gamers? We're back with some more modern action and another weird deck that you might not see very often. We've been seeing a lot of oops, all bugs, and now we're seeing a Broodscale combo deck, which, of course, deck lists are available for you in the description if you want to take a look. There's some slight tweaks from other versions that might be running around, other ones that players are playing online or things like that. There's some flex spots. You'll see. It'll all make sense if you take a look. But really, it's almost like a Tron or New Age Tron, Eldrazi Tron list, but with a combo built into it. We'll get to it if that combo does show up. But on the other side of things, it's the Izzet Prowess list. Now you see the random occasional camera slams here. We were testing out a double camera setup recently, and so one thing I noticed is that when the other players at the table are, slamming their decks down after a cut or a little bit more frustrated in their matchup, you see the random camera shakes. That's why we're trying. But we're seeing one half of the combo coming up now. There's the camera shakes again. We're trying new things. We're trying the double recordings to get as much footage as possible. It was the first time. There were some hiccups, and that's one of them. But Blood Chief, the Blade of the Blood Chief, there you go. There's no vampires in this. This is an Eldrazi deck. It'll all make sense. Don't worry. Why? That is half of the combo. You need another creature to help go off here, but it'll all make sense. So the other side, it's the Izzet Prowess list. Dragon Drake Channeler, the classic. A lot of the Prowess lists have shifted a little bit more and gone more to the all-in Gruul style, which is almost like the New Age Infect. I'd still prefer Infect over it, but I see why players pilot it, especially if you're good with it. You'll see some really skilled players rocking Prowess still, and it's one of those that you can sneak some wins in and get some games off of people when they're not prepared for it. So Dragon Rage is a solid way to start things. There's going to be a couple hiccups, couple mistakes in this matchup. See if you can find them all. I'll point out a few of them here and there, but there might be a couple that we see that it's good to notice them, talk about them, because that's part of the reasons why we do coverage and footage here, so players can learn from mistakes, watch decks, watch matchups, learn how the meta is going, learn kind of to improve and be better players, because you don't start out being great. You have to kind of put in the time, the effort, grind to get there. So we're going to be seeing some Prowess stuff here. We're going to try to get set up here. It looks like a very heavy creature hand, not much triggers going on yet, but Soulscar Mage, an additional Prowess, or our first Prowess creature that goes along with our Dragon Rage here. But we're basically going to be setting things up, trying to kind of burst down our opponent, and the Izzet Prowess has a little bit more staying power than like the Mono Red or the Gruul versions, because you have things like Preordained. You've got these like blue spells and these cantrips that help you to set up or prepare for later on there. So we'll see how things work out, if that's going to be an effective thing. But swinging in, doing just little pokesies here. Dragon Drake Channeler, of course, does not have Delirium yet, so not going to be getting any bigger for damage, but we'll see what we're trying to build up for. You're starting to see a little bit, some hints of what the Broodscale combo is trying to build into. The other thing we notice is by having two players here at the table, it adds this other element of additional sound that we have to worry about and deal with. I mean, we do commentary over top of the match and everything. We try to reduce the volume of everything you guys are hearing, but occasionally you'll hear some, come through. It definitely is more so now with two players or two matches going on at once. But Cavern of Souls, and we're going to go get the Sowing Micro Spawn out here to go find a land. It's not kicked. Of course, if it's kicked, you get to blow up one of your opponent's lands. So there's that little added element there. Exile it, words and stuff. But the main thing is we're going to be ramping up, get another additional Eldrazi Temple here. Of course, that taps for 2 mana when we're casting our Eldrazi spells, so it gives us a lot of versatility in the way that we're setting up. You see that there was, of course, having our Devourer of Destiny throw a bunch of another one of our blades into the graveyard there. It just gives some different options for things. I mean, there's it's an interesting deck the way that it is set up. Like the whole goal of it is to make infinite mana and be able to have infinite. I say infinite power. Eventually, you have to pick a number, right? 2 million, 3 million, 5 billion, whatever number you feel like you are going to stop with. And hey, let's just equip it so it's a little bit scarier. It doesn't really do anything, doesn't provide any additional power at the moment, but whenever a creature dies, put a +1 counter on equipped creature. If the creature is vampire, then, of course, you get to put 2 counters. It is not a vampire. It's an Eldrazi. A fungus, actually. Eldrazi fungus there. But now we're going to go over to our Izzet Prowess player's turn and see what kind of explosive. Looks like there are a little bit of surveil happening here, and we've got some plot potential here. So we've got the option. Surveil already is nice because if it's something that we like or don't like, we can be able to pitch into the graveyard, and we have a lot of flexibility here by being able to do some preordains, surveil 2, draw a card. Now we have the Dragon Rage Channeler, so it's like, let's do that already. So essentially, we get to look through 4 cards this turn. If we like it or don't like it. There's a land there and another creature. We don't like either of those. We would run it. At this point, we have creatures in our hand. We don't need any more creatures, so we want to get rid of those. Get rid of the lands, get rid of the creatures. We're digging for more pumps, more redundancies to it. So we've gotten our trigger. It's a 3/3. And again, if we can throw those into the graveyard, like throw creatures, throw lands into our graveyard, it'll help activate our Dragon Rage Channeler and have that little bit of added bonus of being able to swing for 3 damage. But it's a 3/3, and we only have a 2/3. Not really much we could do there, so we got to kind of pass the turn. That's why it's like getting the Swift Spirit there doesn't really help us. So we want to try to dig for some other stuff. All right, Urza's Saga is going to pop here. Go find a 1-cost artifact, and we're going to be. My guess the only 1-cost artifact that we're running in here is Blade of the Blood Chief. Yep. So there's our 3rd one. And that's the whole thing. It doesn't provide any additional power initially, but it provides the combo that we need for the +1 counters. Because we're going to have things just die a whole bunch. But we, of course, do need green mana in order to get out our other half of the combo. And we already have access to green mana using our Cavern of Souls just to help out a little bit. But we also need green mana because in order to activate the ability of the other half of the combo, which we'll get into if that shows up this turn or next turn or whatever turn it shows up here. All right, Forest coming out. So there's that green mana we needed. All right, there's our Basking Broodscale. So whenever 1 or more +1 counters are put on it, you get to create an Eldrazi spawn. So here's how it goes, right? I'm going to make my Eldrazi spawn. It just happens to be a Larvitar in this case to represent it. We're going to sacrifice that Eldrazi spawn, generate a nice colorless mana. But because a creature died, we're going to put a +1 counter on Basking Broodscale. Then that will trigger. We'll get another Eldrazi spawn. And then we'll just keep doing that and make an infinite amount of colorless mana. And then, because both of these creatures have our Blade of the Blood Chief, they're both going to become ginormous. So instead of it just being one big pure strategy, which you can go for, right? That's the way it works out, is here's this Basking Broodscale. It's going to be a huge giant creature, but we know we have our Devourer of Destiny in hand from the beginning, so we're going to get this, pop this one creature, exiling it. All right. If we had some Kozilek's Command or things like that, we could be able to basically tutor for a card in our library. If we had a big payout like an Emrakul or another big Eldrazi, then we're good. So let's move to combat. Can you see that? It's like, it hurts. It hurts so much. Because it's not related to this match. But it was nice to get double recordings going, but it's like the slams of frustration from the other player on the other match. It's just like, no, why? Why are you shaking all of the cameras? Just all right, so yeah, it's set up here. We're like, again, yeah. So like the land, I want to say both of those cards. I don't know. Both the cards stayed on top there related to the Serum Vision. But hey, here's where we've got 2 more creatures, so we can run some blocks for a little bit. The problem is you just re-equip the blade onto the Devourer, and you have 3 creatures. You swing in, like it's all set up. You have enough stuff to kill off. And even now more so, which you're like, hey, I'm gonna swing in. Sure, I'll take your 2 damage from your slick shot show offs there. It's not gonna matter at this point. I mean, you could try to drag it out and delay it by not attacking, not blocking, but really the way that it's set up is they have a billion power and toughness. So even if you block enough, we have enough that we've got 3 creatures. Even if you had 3, you have to commit all of it, and you won't have anything to do after that. So, all right, sideboard adventures happening here, or post sideboard. So now we're gonna get into it. Now you can hear it even more. Let's make that even quieter. I forgot to turn the volume down on this half because, as you can see, I cut it in between the sideboard stuff, because a lot of the sideboard stuff we don't see what the players are pulling in. It's just a lot of, let's look at my cards from my sideboard and take them in and shuffling. And usually it's like anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes of just downtime that we just cut out, because, you know, why? Who wants to sit there and watch it? When we were doing the live coverage back in the day, we kept it in there because we were able to have those discussions about, oh, okay, these are cards to consider in this matchup and things like that. But we're not at that. We're not doing the live coverage. We're just doing the post. All this stuff is done in post. So. All right, so now we're looking for, if you're on the Izzet Prowess side or a Prowess deck in general, you'll want to go for, like, as fast as possible. You want to try to burst them down and kill them before they get to start comboing off. So we have a Dragon Rage Channeler in hand here. We have some setup stuff, it looks like, and a Swift Spear. So this seems fine. Personally, I like having the Dragon Rage there too, because you're setting up. Is that another Dragon Rage on the far left? It makes sense. But yeah, so we can go for a Swift Spear to start with, or a Dragon Rage to start with, and then follow it up after that. But Swift Spear to start. Just start poking away. But yeah, the goal is to go as fast as possible if you're fighting against a speed deck or a combo deck. So Burning Willows, it's fine if you guys aren't familiar. It's not a land that sees much play anymore. Yeah, doesn't see much play anymore, but it used to be like the go-to land in Tron decks back in the day. So there's a Dragon. Oh, we have a Blood Moon, so there's one of our sideboard cards coming in, which is nice, but no additional land here. Yeah, so keeping, like, again, we're keeping a fast hand. We went mulligan down to 6, so it's fine to keep there. But there's our Basking Brood scale. So that is the one half of the combo. And if we don't have a removal spell, we don't have a Bolt, we don't have a Galvanic Discharge, which most of the Izzet Prowess list aren't running Galvanic Discharge. They're still on the Bolt plan. But we did top deck the island, and now we'll be able to do some preordain and set up. So Dragon Rage Channeler trigger. Let's do a cheeky peek. Oh, this is the, okay, this part hurts me. Shout out to Adrian for wanting to line everything up and make everything look so good for the camera, and everything is lined up great. And so he's checking it, making sure everything fits on screen and is looking good. And then we run into a problem. Because right here, we forget to do the Dragon Rage Channeler. We forget to do any of the preordained stuff. We don't scry, we don't draw. So like all that setup to make sure everything looked nice for the video and the channel, we missed. Oh, it hurts so much. Like every time I watch this, and I get it. You know, you get like, again, we do our matches in the evenings, Tuesday night. They're recorded up at Comic Kung Fu over in Winchester. So if you're in the area, you want to come out and be able to play and get on camera, you have the chance to do it. But we do it every Tuesday night, and it's in the evenings, you know, after work and everything like that. So players are tired, they make mistakes, things happen. Not a big deal. We get it. But here's mutagenic growth. So again, it's like it's one of these situations. Here's another Dragon Rage Channeler trigger that we should get, casting the mutagenic growth. But we're going for a burst. So 1, 2 spells. Get 2 additional prowesses, plus the +2, so 5 damage total there that is coming across here. Which we know there's not going to be a block, so we're fine with it. Like, ugh. Yeah. I wanted to put this video up specifically because we get to see a new cool deck to be able to see. Apologize for the banging and the frustration. It's very interesting. All the other rounds that we did the double, you'll see it doesn't have the same camera slams and effect. So it's just one of those things that it's just like, okay, we get it. You're frustrated. Stop banging on the table. All right, so our Prowess player goes, I missed my Surveil trigger. Yes. But you also missed drawing a card and scrying. We missed it all. It hurts. It hurts. That's okay. That's why we watch these, so we can identify these little mistakes and little mishaps that could happen in plays here. But how is the Broodscale player going to respond? They're going to do a Sowing Myco Spawn, and a 3/3 is just a solid blocker. You get a tutor up for a land. You know, it's annoying. It kind of run the block a little bit here in this case, but right now, of course, Dragon Rage Channeler's not turned on or activated to be a 3/3 yet, or flying, so we're just kind of left with a bunch of 1/1s. We get a forest here, tutor this up, because again, you need the green mana to activate our Basking Broodscale for his adaptability. And then we get an Ancient Stirrings, do some digging. Let's go looking. Again, you look at those top 5, reveal a colorless card from among them, put it into your hand. The rest go at the bottom. Again, the list that I have up on Moxfiled is very similar to the list that is played on camera. There are some slight tweaks and slight changes to it, but you get a kind of at least an idea of what to expect with the deck, right? The way that the deck is set up and designed is all about setting up for this combo with Basking Broodscale and Blade of the Blood Chief. If you're playing against this, the way to start the combo is like activating Basking Broodscale, but just having a creature die while Blade of the Blood Chief out still gets it going, because remember, it's a triggered ability that will be able to do it. Now, if you have a Pithing Needle or things like that, you can name Blade of the Blood Chief so they cannot equip it. And then you don't get to have that added combo of gaining so many counters on it. So there is that element if you're trying to fight it. Or just, you know, artifact removal and creature removals and things like that to prevent the Basking Broodscale from coming out. But we do see a nice little set up here. Again, we could do some surveilling, dump some stuff we don't want. Now, if our Prowess player is looking for lands, that's one of those things that it's like, okay, you know, that makes sense to keep that on top there. Right now we're sitting with instant and sorcery in our graveyard, so no prowess at the moment. All right, it's going to go to hand. Okay, so we can start plotting and getting ourselves ready. Now, it's like we're so we're in this like awkward stage of just so many creatures. Like I feel like our opponents are already setting themselves up in a good spot that we're still trying to go for the burst kill, and more creatures doesn't help us with this. So like getting rid of the creatures and stuff is really we don't need any more creatures. Again, we're just trying to go cycle through and go as fast as we can. All right, so let's see. Uggin's Labyrinth, but not imprinting anything. There's only a few things that we can really imprint in this deck, but it's, if we are able to get a Devour and that out and just like speed up the way that we're going, works out pretty well. Now, the list that I have, again, I'm talking about the list that is on Moxfiled and stuff. I basically hybridize versions of the Broodscale deck with the Tron list. So it's got like the One Ring and stuff like that. And do you need to run the One Ring in this list? No, you don't. So, but there is the Blade. So we'll do, of course, the pay the 1 to equip. Then we have our 2 mana that we need to adapt. So this is where you would be trying to respond if you had a way to respond to it. Like, oh, hey, I'd like to pay 2 to activate it. And then you go, all right, Galvanic Discharge, Lightning Bolt, things like try to shoot it and kill it before, because it is an activated ability to adapt, and you can respond to the activation here. There's our Larvitar, a.k.a. our Eldrazi spawn, and we'll just do this. And Kozilek's Command. We'll go for the Scry and then draw and then get 1,000,000 Eldrazi spawns out. So you can just keep going with this, but it's basically you can kind of go wide. Now, and here's the other issue. The footage got messed up at the end. So it all fell apart. But I wanted to showcase because of the new deck, see some stuff like this. But one ways that you can go about it is like, okay, we're gonna go and get like an Emrakul or something like that, and be able to just end the game the following turn. It's an interesting setup here for the Brood Scale combo. I like the deck. There's a couple different decks and variations of the way that it works out, but like the goal of it is more or less the same, right? I've been seeing some with Altar of the Brood. I want to say that's in here as well, and you could just kind of go that route and do that. But that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed our Broodscale combo. Izzet Prowess adventures there, but eventually you just kind of mill your opponent out with Altar of the Brood. But thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everybody. We'll see some more, hopefully more concise and full footage. There's a couple in our backlog that have this like camera issues and stuff like that it's just like you'll see it all makes sense. But that's it for this one. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everybody. I'll see you all next game.